Hello, I'm David Jones, and I thought I'd do a quick video on natural gas. I'll start off by saying I hate this market. At times, it does feel like it trades like a cryptocurrency with the volatility we've seen. You know, we've seen it in little over a month fall about 50% from its highs at the beginning of January. But I thought let's do an update because we are getting a rally at the moment. There's some interesting news going on around natural gas. So I thought let's take a look at it. Let's see, is this rally going to continue, or is it a dead cat bounce before it turns lower again and we go back to 150, whatever the low was in middle of Feb. So as usual, talk about some of the recent news in natural gas and then jump on the charts and see what a trade might be. Before we get into that, if you've watched any of the videos I've done before, you know I do a few other things. I'll talk briefly about the WhatsApp group I run. I've been running this for about 15 months now, and it used to be just for people who've done my course. I've opened it up to anybody can join if they want to. Every morning I do an update on the markets I'm watching, trades I'm running, other interesting things. Then in the afternoon I come back and do an update when the US market opens, looking at day trading levels for the NASDAQ and the S&P. I went short the NASDAQ earlier this week, put it in the group, closed the trade out today for about 370 points profit. We saw the NASDAQ fall off quite sharply. And also US stocks. A big thing for me this year is trading US stocks. If you're on the newsletter, you'd have seen this. At the moment, I'm running about 40 open trades, but I talk about all this stuff and more in the WhatsApp group. If you'd like to try it, use the code YouTube to sign up and try it for a month, see what you think about it. If you're not on my newsletter, that's free of charge. It comes out every Sunday. And it looks, again, I talk about some of the markets I'm trading, markets I'm watching in the week ahead, and a trading tip. If you go to my website, davidjonestrading.co.uk, you can sign up, put your email in, and you'll get the newsletter from this Sunday. That's it. As usual, all the stuff should be in the description of this video. But let's talk about natural gas. Let's get into it. So just to go through some of the numbers. So from the 9th of Jan to the 19th of Feb, so in about, 5 or 6 weeks, we saw the price of natural gas drop by almost 55%. You know, that is a sizable fall for a major commodity. But of course, natural gas doesn't hang around for long. If it stops going down, then it's going to start going up. And then since then, the past couple of weeks, we've seen the price rally by 20%. So, you know, enormous volatility really in this market as usual, which is, I think, is something we have got used to over the years. So something that caused the falls, again, it's very, very sensitive to weather, which of course impacts on demand for natural gas. We had seen weaker demand in the US due to warmer winter weather, less demand for natural gas, less demand, and the price falls. You know, it's a classic supply-demand seesaw. But since we've seen these lower prices, we've seen companies such as EQT Corporation in the USA have announced it's going to cut natural gas output throughout March because of these lower prices. So it's going to rein in its supply side of the market. And that's perhaps one of the things, or one of the reasons we've seen the price of natural gas recover, you know, at least some of those losses over the last 2 or 3 weeks or so. But then again, on the supply demand side, European inventories, so, you know, stockpiles of natural gas, for want of a better word, are the highest they've been for years. So there's no concern about falling inventories here, pushing up demand for natural gas. So I think the question at the moment is the rally that we're seeing in natural gas, this 20% move over the last few weeks. Is this a dead cat bounce before the market turns lower again? Or actually, are we going to see more gains? You know, it's been a good rally so far. I think there are some key levels to watch on the upside. So as usual, let's jump on the charts, take a look at it in a bit more detail and see what the levels are to watch and what the trading opportunity might be. Let's just perhaps remind ourselves where we've been on natural gas. It has been a pretty volatile few years. Up in August 2022, we saw the price trade as high as $10. You know, we had the Russian invasion of Ukraine, of course, earlier in 2022 that pushed plenty of energy markets higher. That $10 level ended up being a major peak. As we know now by hindsight, sold off down to around 190 in April of 2023. And then it was recovering. We were getting, if we zoom in, something of a recovery off those April lows into October 23. Then we saw the sell-off. Then we saw, this is the rally into January, up to sort of 340, and then back down to 150. I mean, it is absolutely all over the place, natural gas. But what's interesting, I think, is what's going on over the last couple of weeks. This is what we're going to take a look at. But just to take a step out, there's those lows on natural gas that we saw in February, down around 156. It's the lowest the market's been since June 2020. So we had, 3.5 year plus lows for natural gas during February. So is it too low? Are we going to see this rally pick up a bit more steam? Let's flip things back onto the daily. This is the weekly chart at the moment. I do find it a very frustrating market to trade, because just when it starts to look bullish, like here where we have a breakout, the market completely reverses. It takes out any previous major lows without hardly even pausing, and then trades back down, and this is this 55% drop. We've had the rally since then. Obviously the market, if we look at the RSI, went very oversold in early Feb, and then we had the market turn around. But perhaps to make sense of what's going on at the moment, let's take a look at the hourlies, because I think with natural gas, it is so volatile, but we do get really good trends on the short term as well. So let's take a look at this hourly chart for natural gas. So this is the move off the low, the 19th of Feb low. And here we go. We have so far what looks like pretty much a textbook uptrend. We've got a succession of higher highs, higher lows, all looks okay. And at the moment, in this time frame, I would absolutely be a buyer of the dip. For me, the more aggressive trade, if I was going to trade it now, I would want my stop loss at least below the lows of the week so far. So below 185 is the lowest we've been so far this week at the time of recording. I'd want my stop below there if I want to give the thing a bit more room, which with natural gas I think is always sensible because it can be so volatile. Then perhaps I'm going to go the other side of the lows seen so far in March, around about 179. So we've got some definite reference points there if we see some volatility in natural gas. So if I was trading it on this time frame, these are the hourly candles. I'd be a buyer of the dip, and I'd be stops probably at least the other side of 179, if not 175. So we do have some good points there to think about buying into this trend. So that's what I would be doing. And I'd only start to change my mind if this market broke below 175. So if it dropped about, 10% below where we are now, from where we are now, I think perhaps this trend is in trouble. So far, so good for this trend over the last couple of weeks. And just to take it out, you can see just how persistent, we're still on the hourlies here, this downtrend was from those mid-Jan highs. And it really did sell off quite relentlessly. But it has left what I think is as an important level that for me needs to be broken to suggest there's going to be much more recovery to come. So I flipped this over to 4-hour candles now. So on the 4-hour candles, from about the second week of Feb, we had this fairly, again, relentless sell-off from around $2. And that's really the level for me. I think if we can break through $2, it starts to look like a breakout, and perhaps away we go, targeting the early Feb highs up around 235. So as usual with natural gas, there are always reasons for going long or going short. For now, based on the hourlies, based on the 4 hourlies, I'd be a buyer of the dip with stops the other side of 179, 175, something like that. But 2 is the hurdle, and we did see it just yesterday on Tuesday of this week trade up to about 199 and back off. Let's see if we see 2 broken on natural gas. As I say, there's seldom a dull moment in this market. I haven't traded it much. I've traded it once this year. I've stuck to my US stock trading. Let me just show you that quickly. Here's the US stock trades that I've got running at the moment. Most of the positions are still open. I've given back a bit with this sell-off we had this week, but return on margin so far is still up 20%, above 20% since the middle of December. This is what I talk about in the newsletter and the WhatsApp group. So I think at the very least, if you're not on the newsletter list, if you sign up for that, and I talk a bit more about my approach here. So for me, it's been an easier market than natural gas, but as ever, it's interesting. So, in summary, I'd be a buyer of the dip. This trend is still going since the 19th of February lows. 175, 179 is the key area for me. While we're above here, the trend's still valid, but it needs to break $2 to really get a move on. Let's see what happens in the next few days and couple of weeks with natural gas. That's it for this update in natural gas. As usual, I'll talk about it more on the weekly live streams I run every Friday, 2:30 UK time, 9:30 in the morning, US East Coast time. If you click on subscribe and the notification button, you get notified when I go live. Don't forget, if you want to try out the WhatsApp group, use the code YouTube for 20% off. If you're not on the newsletter, sign up for that direct from the website, and you'll start getting that from Sunday. I think that's it. With natural gas, there's never a dull moment, so I'm sure I'll be back in the next few weeks to look at it again. But until then, good luck with your trading.